Hey, I'm Taylor, and for this video assignment, I chose to pick malabsorption syndrome. And malabsorption is basically just the body's inability to absorb nutrients, and this affects our bodies in many ways because obviously nutrients are very important to us. So some of the symptoms include bloating, diarrhea, um, pale stool sometimes, and sometimes stool that looks greasy, loss of appetite, fatigue, and just a number of things that you need nutrients. The long term symptoms, if you don't get this fixed, is weak bones, muscle wasting because you're not having nutrients to make yourself stronger, weight loss because you lose your appetite, and shortness of breath. I picked three syndromes to go along with this that I found interesting that was in the digestive category. I picked dysentery because it's different because it's inflammation of the intestine, whereas malabsorption is the inability to absorb nutrients. So this wasn't the same cause, and one of the common symptoms of that is blood in the stool. Another symptom I chose is asite syndrome, and this is accumulation of non-inflammatory fluid in abdominal spaces. So it's different from malabsorption again because it's not its inability to absorb, it's just an excess of fluid. So this causes a lot of bloating and abdominal pain. And this also causes weight gain, which is different from malabsorption because malabsorption causes weight loss. And then I chose intestinal obstructive syndrome, and this is when the distal part of the small intestine becomes inflamed. So once again, it causes a lot of bloating, a lot of abdominal pain, but this actually causes constipation, as in the other ones, and malabsorption causes a lot of diarrhea symptoms and stuff like that. Three diseases that I chose that I found were under malabsorption. One of them was Crohn's disease, and this is when part of the digestive tract becomes inflamed. And it can be caused by two things. It can be either immune related, to where the immune system abnormally reacts to something and it causes inflammation in the digestive tract, or it can be hereditary. A lot of the times Crohn's disease is seen in patients whose family members have had it. And then some of the risk factors are people who smoke, because it causes the epithelial cells in the digestive tract to become inflamed. White people have a higher chance at getting this disease, and this usually happens when you're pretty young. Another disease I chose was celiac disease, and the cause actually isn't known besides the fact that it's a damage to the intestinal wall, and a lot of times it is a reaction to gluten. So a lot of people don't really still know exactly what causes this, but gluten is a high thing. And a lot of times this occurs after surgery or someone who's pregnant or something like that. And the risk factors, a lot of people who get this disease is they've had type 1 diabetes. Someone who's had it in their family, it ups their chance for them to get this disease. And then a lot of times people who have Down syndrome are also a high risk to get celiac disease. And then the last one I did was Whipple disease. And this is actually caused by a bacterial infection, and the bacteria is Trophophorus whippii. And a lot of us is not known about this bacteria, so they don't know exactly what's causing it or where it's coming from. But this isn't a very common disease at all. It's seen very, very rare. But a lot of the risk is actually in men. It's more common for them. The age range is around 40 to 60. So usually they haven't really seen it in younger people or middle age, or it is in middle age, but not super old either. It's a lot of middle-aged men. This one's also seen very often in white people. And also people who work on the farms a lot are known to be associated with Whipple disease. So that's my project.